Hey guys, we have a very, very, very special guest today. He's in from the Philippines, Tuhon Mel Tortal. And this is quite an honor and a pleasure, I must say.
And thank you very much, Mark,
Thank
and
you.
for inviting me this afternoon. So um, I'm so happy that to see you and work with you. Okay, since last week. So you came and hang out here in the school of Numad Kali. So I appreciate it, and yeah,
So,
it's
most of the people that know me, Tuhon, are either hockey friends from hockey, playing ice hockey and coaching ice hockey, and then boxing. And they've been following me. They kind of, most of them know my journey now into the FMA, Filipino martial arts, in particular Pakiti Tertia, which this journey for me, Tuhan, has been an amazing journey. There are so many avenues of education within the Pakiti um, globe, so to speak. And I'm only scratching just a little tiny bit of the surface. And with that said, it's been an incredible journey so far. And I plan on doing this till the day I die.
yeah. Well, you are in the right track right now, and you are in a in uh, the group that gives you and give you a guidance, a proper guidance to learn
Mhm.
the Filipino martial arts, specifically Piki Tertia. So I'm so happy that you're very active and learning the art of Kali. And although the fact that your involvement in boxing and in other sports, and then your interest now it's getting towards FMA, Filipino
Yeah.
martial arts.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting, and and I can see people like active in any different sports,
Mhm.
and now most of them they are looking towards looking at martial arts that they really use on the street,
Right.
effective art. So like you, I can see that you are very enthusiastic practitioners of sports and arts, and now you are looking an opportunity to like finding the art that helps you to
Hmm.
survive on the street. And um, I think it helps you since you'll be part of the family of PTK, and you are um, your direction now it's like be part of this art, and you said you want this forever and you want
Yes.
this entire your life,
Yeah.
and this is very I would say this is not good only for individual, but this is good for everybody,
Yeah.
that for those who want to learn for survival and to preserve life.
So, Tuhan, maybe for my audience that really not familiar with Kali in general, Filipino martial arts, in particular Pakiti Tertia, could you maybe just tell us your background, growing up in the Philippines, how you came to be a Tuhan? And it's been a long journey for you. I know you've been doing this forever, and you've traveled the world and educated so many people that are very fortunate to have that education from you.
Okay, so it was a long journey for me. That's right, and I grew up on this system, learning the art. Okay, which is our family system, and I grew up learning and focusing that dedicated into this particular system, learning with my uncle Grand Tuhon. And so during the early days, during my childhood life, basically I don't have like teenager
Experiences.
activities,
Yeah.
because most of my childhood and teenager activities, it's like going towards uh, went into the training. For me, it's like I choose this direction. I choose this journey that instead of taking the other road I'm taking with this, I put my life in this to learning the art, which to preserve the lineage and to preserve continue the promoting the art.
Hmm.
So um, I'm learning with this. I was the time um, 10, 11 years old. I'm with GT, Grand Tuhon, which is my uncle. And I grew up training, hard training, um, and of course, JT taught me of all the principle and the philosophy of this art. So Piki Tertia, it gives me a enlighten um, my thought to uh, to keep up my my martial arts uh, career, and also my martial arts inclination. So
Hmm.
when I was a kid, during the early days, yeah, I received like um, tough training with my uncle Grand Tuhon. So
Yeah.
it's a painful day during
Yeah.
that time. um, I mean, I trained in an old school way during the early days, that I would say woke up early in the morning, like
Hmm.
2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, starting training up to, and then you take a break, only the breakfast, continue again training, and then you take a break again just to take a lunch, then training again. So the same routine again and again. Okay, most like almost every day. So I would say that it's not only like involve the commitment,
Hmm.
but it's your um, I would say your focus,
Hmm.
your 100% um, involvement. So, but
You become who you are because of it.
yeah, and although that our body, my body, it was like sore because of the training, and you don't have enough. I don't have enough rest during
Right.
the time, and after the training, run to the school. After the school, back again at training. So I don't have like extracurricular activities that,
Hmm.
oh, I enjoy my teenager life, like hang out with my classmates or going to somewhere else, like and having some party or things like that.
Right.
So I don't have that kind of
In many ways, Tuhan,
that kind of
it's extremely similar to boxing, where the Floyd Mayweathers of the world, the Oscar De La Hoyas of the world, the Mike Tysons of the world, they were totally immersed in boxing through that same time of being a young man through the teenage years. Um, and that total immersement and dedication led them to be who they are and where they are now. in terms of their
Exactly.
extreme success.
Exactly. So that's why if you are looking a a you want to be a proficient,
Hmm.
okay, in the art, so you have your focus and your direction, it should be 100%,
Correct.
and you are committed 100%. There is no 50% or there's no like, oh, halfway.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's very difficult because it eats your time,
Yeah.
and your that's supposed to be your time, it's going to the other things, right? But because of, I would say, because of the commitment and your direction, and you want to be, and this is part of a way of life, right?
Hmm.
And uh, and I learned this just to, in my goal from during that early days. My goal, I said, when I grew up, when I become a man,
Yeah.
during the time I was a kid, when I become a man, whatever I learn, I have to share it
Right.
to the people who have a better intention and a good heart. So, and now um, PTK now is all over the world,
Yeah.
and one of the biggest discipline of Filipino martial arts nowadays. So, but there's a bunch of Filipino martial arts, of course. So,
Hmm.
but all of those masters and grandmasters, um, they are all friend of mine. So,
Yeah.
of course, my uh, uh, um, um, my support to the Filipino martial arts in general in the community. So it's not only the PTK, but promoting Filipino martial arts, that to
So,
bring culture back
mhm.
and to keep the culture alive of Filipinos.
So that's one of the things that interests me. The culture behind the art, the history of the art. It's fascinating to me, and it feels good to be a very small part of that family, that tribe of PTK. What are the principles of Kali in general and PTK? What you mentioned before, the principles of your art. How does the PTK art, the principles differ maybe from boxing or maybe from Muay Thai or karate, or is it all really one and the same at the end of the day? It's just different interpretations.
Okay, so the PTK principle in general is an offensive art
Hmm.
and counter-offensive. It's no defense. So we adapt the um, the principle of fighting art during the early days, that it's a tribal art.
Hmm.
During the early days, Philippines, it's not like not like the other countries that that have sophisticated gyms, school of martial arts. So basically, we train in the backyard.
Right. Yeah.
So we train
Yeah.
in the backyard, and this is a tribal art that pass on to generation to many
Hmm.
generation and generations. And basically, we deal with the blades, and that's why this art, the art of Kali, and the art of the Filipino martial arts, it's an focusing on offensive art and counter offensive art.
Hmm.
It's not like defensive art.
Right.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah. Well, 100%. Yes.
so because it's like, since this is a tribal art, basically the homeland of the Philippines is composed of the different islands and the different tribes
Hmm.
during the early days. So the tribe is to protect their land, so they don't allow the intruders to come and to take their land.
Yeah.
So that's why if you see it in our training, so we have the double weapon, which is the double sticks and the double
Mhm.
blade, double knife, double swords. We have spear, right? So, and eventually we will use our palm, which is the empty hands. So if you talk about empty hands, that is a the way we move our palm, it's coming from weaponry,
Yeah.
right? It's coming from weaponry. So whatever the weapon principle that we do during the training, it transfer to our empty hands. So this is what we call transference of technology.
Mhm.
So the manifestation of the weaponry, you can see it into the empty hands.
Mhm.
So um, in our system, there are weapon categories, right? So you work at double weapons, which is two knives, two sticks, or double swords, and you have spari daga, which is swords and dagger, and sibat idaga, you have like spear and dagger, and sibat, which is a spear, right? And of course, down to flexible weapons. The flexible weapons you can use it like your belt, scarf, sling bag, or anything that you can use as like to as a flexible materials that you can use as is converted into a weaponry. So all of this are part of the um, a part of the weapons platform that we use, okay, during the time of during the early days, and now we
Mhm.
can still use until now. And now when you come up with the pangamot, it evolves the principle from weaponry to empty hands. So because weaponry art is an offensive,
Mhm.
our principle is an offensive and counter offensive, right? We don't adapt an offensive principle. I mean, sorry, a defensive principle.
Mhm. Mhm.
So because our philosophy, offense is the best defense.
Yes, I agree 100%. And I think this leads me to my next comment or question, and that is, given that philosophy of offense is the best defense, why tactically in law enforcement and the military, PTK, Kali in general, is so widely recognized as the art to learn, because its application to those two arenas of law enforcement or military are perfect. It's a perfect fit.
Exactly, because it's nowadays, modesty aside, so PTK nowadays is globally used by law enforcement and the military. Majority of law enforcement units in the military adapting the system, edge weapon program, and control dynamics program. We use how they are able to use a minimum force to control the assailant or the subject.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in a military program, of course, we have like tactical combat. The tactical combat is obviously it's completely different than a law enforcement,
Yeah.
because law enforcement we have two types of program in a law enforcement. You have control dynamics, which is how you be able to control the subject or the criminal, so you can control by using arrest procedure, using the handcuffing control, the baton control, or handcuffing without handcuff, which is how you be able to use your control tactics without using a handcuff or baton, not damaging the subject, because it's like basically the principle that we use in a control tactics is exactly the same principle of what we do in a regular training in a PTK. So it's the same principle. What we do is we reduce the strikings, but we follow the principle. Because in the law enforcement, since they are law enforcement officer, you have to comply and you have to follow the law.
Right.
So, for example, if I teach law enforcement, especially the control tactics, I'm not gonna teach how to break the opponent, the subject leg, or to break the arm, or to break their neck. Then that's not the control tactics.
No.
Right? So there are three principles. I mean, there are three philosophy that we follow if we teach law enforcement. Number one, to save the assailant life. Number two, to save the officer's life. Number three, to save the department from legal liabilities.
Right. Which is such a huge
Yes.
subject matter right now in the United States.
Yes.
We don't even have to mention any particular cases, but we all know of law enforcement. Unfortunately, as you know, many, when they get done with academy, that's the end of their training.
Right.
They may go years without any kind of, confrontation or some critical dynamic moment. And then when they do, they have nothing, they're not trained up and they're not ready to, as you say, save the assailant's life. And it gets into a very bad situation.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so that's the three principle that we advocate in a training into the law enforcement, especially the law enforcement program. And that's how be able to apply the control that to protect, no matter what, even he's a criminal, he's still human being.
Right.
No matter what, he's still human being, you
Yeah.
know? And that's the reason why the tactics that we apply is safety and control.
Right. Yeah.
Safety for the assailant, and safety for the the police officer. Then, of course, there are two types of nature of the assailant: compliance and non-compliant. So if the assailant or the subject, if he comply, it's not necessary for you to use a maximum force that to arrest the subject. However, if the subject is non-compliant, meaning he use a force to fight the police officer, or he trying to I would say to resist, or he doesn't want to comply it, the police officers has to use a maximum force, which is what we call acceleration of force, or force continuum. So meaning to say, it's a normal for the police officers to protect their safety and to protect their lives. So that's why training is very important for the law enforcement community, because it's not all the time that, okay, you go there on the street and anything happen, any any if you can see in the street that, okay, you'll see the crime over there, out there, you cannot shoot, the subject immediately, or the assailant.
Mhm.
Of course, you have to use a minimum control tactics in order for you to use to enforce the law,
Right.
to enforce your authority, that how are you going to arrest the subject or the assailant without harming the assailant. So that's the standard of our training. It's to support law enforcement community, to give them a training on how be able to use a, a control tactics to arrest the subject without harming the subject, or without like breaking the subject.
Mhm.
So we just like apply the minimum force, which is the control tactics.
And how does the military tactical training differ?
Then the military training then is different, because the military, they are combatant.
Mhm.
They are designed. Their training is designed using a combative tactics. Um, how to use the edge weapon, okay, in effective manners. How to use their handgun. How to be able to use a, in a combative applications.
Mhm.
How to use the empty hands, pangamot, okay, in a way that whatever whatever the knives, whatever the handgun
Mhm.
can apply using the application, or tactics, they can use it using their empty hands, or pangamon.
Mhm.
So 1 second,
Eh,
I think we need a charger. I think this
Okay.
um, iPad, it's already low battery. So I will ask Royce real quick. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, no,
Uh,
no worries. We'll take. So,
Royce, getting a charger for this. Yeah.
so you came here about 2 weeks ago, I guess, Tuhon?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you're here for how long, give
I
or take?
I would say February
Okay.
to next year.
But you're traveling around the country. You were just down in Virginia Beach over the weekend. You did a seminar, and
Yeah.
maybe fill us in on what else, the other seminars you're doing, particularly here at Nomad up in by Royce and other. I know you're going to Las Vegas in a few weeks as well, correct?
Yes. So okay, this coming weekend I have a Zoom seminar here, but I'm gonna um, live here in Nomad Cali School.
Mhm.
So, and
What will be
then,
the subject matter on that one?
so the subject matter is uh, a knife application,
Mhm.
empty hands applications, and a solo baston, double bastons. Okay, so it's pretty much like everything, right?
Everything.
So,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna take the materials for little bit of everything of the different topics, so that way we can cover and share it to our to the practitioners all over the world,
Mhm.
and to the topic that we're going to work on. So now after that, um, the following weekend, I have a seminars here in New York, here in Nomad School,
Mhm.
um, and that will be live seminar. So then after my seminar here, I'm gonna fly to Las Vegas.
Mhm.
So I have a seminar there and stay there for to support our guys and to support everybody, you know, for those people that will be in the seminar. And
Right.
before that, I'll give some support and training to the group over there too. So after that, I'm flying back here in Philly. So I'll be in Philadelphia to
Mhm.
teach and support the group there and support our guys. So another seminar there. Then after, gonna fly to come here. I'm gonna come back here in coming back here in New York, and then after that, I fly to New Orleans. I have another seminar there. So then
Got
after
quite a bit
that,
of travel coming up.
yeah, then after that, I'm gonna fly back to here in New York, but in New York
Mhm.
City. So I have a seminar in New York City, December. I think first week in December. Then after January, I have a full my seminar. Oh no, no, my that's my intensive camp training
Mm.
in a Zoom via Zoom. So that's the whole month of January. January every weekend. After
Beautiful.
that, February, I think I have another seminar in LA, in Los Angeles, California. So gonna support everybody. So I'm here. Just
How many, I think you and I discussed this before, but how many countries have you traveled to and conducted seminars or training, law enforcement,
yeah,
military?
for the last, I think for the last like I'd say interesting for the last like 25 to 7 years. I think it's traveled like 120 countries,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
that's
It's
amazing.
a lot, and like, but I'm that's what I'm saying. Um, my body is tired, and but my mind's still active.
Still alive.
My
Yeah.
mind's still active to support everybody, and because I said I choose this journey, and I'm happy to support everybody.
We're very fortunate that you do.
Yes, and my goal is to spread the art of PGK
Mhm.
and support Filipino martial arts community.
Yeah.
So that's my goal.
So coming
So,
from my boxing background, um, right immediately when I started FMA Pakiti, I noticed there was some similarities, especially with footwork, always
mm,
working on an angle. Maybe you can talk to how boxing really has been heavily influenced by
okay,
FMA.
okay. So, um, boxing nowadays is very, very popular. Sports in the Olympic and even professional boxing. So it's very popular all over the world. And if you look at it, the boxing is the art of pound in the hands, right?
Yeah.
Okay, using a fist, right? And the position like this, right? So if you hold the double knife, you point it, you hold the double knife, especially pakal knives. Okay, let me borrow a double knife, please. 1 second. So that's why if you hold double knife, you're bringing your hand up. You're bringing your hand up, right? You're work with that, deliver jab, uppercut, come up with that. So the influence of from weaponry, okay, from weaponry transfer to empty hands, right?
Mhm.
So before, during the early days, during early days, like their pangamot, their empty hands is like of
Right.
fist fight is like this. I don't know if you're familiar with that, like,
Yes. Oh yeah.
bringing their hand, like twisting.
This way.
Okay, the knuckle is it's pointing out. Okay, instead this. That's why a lot of people like doing this now because of the influence of Filipino martial arts, that most of the pangamot is positioned that way because of the knives, right? You are not like holding the knife like this,
Yeah.
right? You're holding the knife that way. The,
Right.
the, the tip of the knife is pointing outside, right? So now without weapon, your hand is like protecting protecting your face, protecting your head, and your elbow is protecting your rib cage. So if you look at it, Filipino martial arts nowadays, it's like lots of art in the world today that influenced by Filipino martial arts, especially weaponry and um, and uh, when we work with empty hands. So lots of, I would say, lots of people cross train in
Yeah.
FMA, in Filipino martial arts,
So one
because
thing
because
I'm
of that, the evolutions of the skills
sorry.
and of the martial arts in the world today, it's get bigger and bigger because of the supplemental of the FMA. It's in there to influence everyone as far as the art is concerned.
So one of the things I noticed, we'll talk about Floyd Mayweather, is a very recognizable name worldwide, and he fought in the Philly shell, which is I'm trying to is this position here, right? Philly shell.
Right.
But what
Uh,
is that? It's a chamber position of double stick.
exactly.
So it's
Exactly.
the
So
same position. Yeah.
right. Right.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, during the time, as I said, FMA back in the days, um, it's not recognized worldwide during the early days
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because of um, people have no chance to travel, and people like it limits their research about martial arts
Mm-hmm.
until the present generation from 70s until now. FMA in general now is became like a giant martial arts uh, because of the people promoting heavily, and people want to be part of because of the mindset is completely different
Mm-hmm.
than the martial arts compared to the other martial arts that, okay, focusing on sports or competition. So the nowadays the FMA, it's Filipino martial arts. Now it's like, okay, you can see there's a program that adopted by the military and law enforcement and in another different agencies all over the
Mm-hmm.
world. So now it's become popular. Not only the Filipino, or not only the law enforcement or military, even the civilian and even the kids. Now it's already like uh, um, uh, uh, the kids learning because most of the practitioner nowadays, they put it into the program in their martial arts school.
Hmm. I think most people would also be surprised to know or to learn that in most action films, say The Matrix or anything that involves fighting, whether it's with weapons or open hands, is FMA.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. So that's why now in the Philippines is Filipino martial arts now back home in the Philippines is a official national sports
Hmm. Hmm.
that used for competition. Of course, it's like you cannot promote this art like teaching the kids and teaching the young people, okay, the combat side of the art. You cannot do that.
Right,
So
right.
you have to. That's why in the Philippines, like we're promoting this art that adapting in the school, adapting to the um, in the sports department that they adapt the Filipino martial arts that you use for competitions, the kids and the students and the school students and things like that. So, but while they're growing, so it builds discipline.
Hmm.
So when they're ready to to progress into a combative side of learning the combative side of the Filipino martial arts, which is how to use the knife, how to use the light blade and things like that, then that will be their direction when
Yeah.
when they are ready. So
So one of the one of the many, not many, but there's some people in the self-defense community, and I agree with you. I don't like the concept of self-defense because then you're already under attack. It's too late. You're reacting instead of acting. But that
exactly.
said, a lot of people in the so-called self-defense world think that they seem to have a feeling that all, say, like a Sabayan or any kind of flow drill is pretty, it looks nice, but it really doesn't work. I think they're missing the point that in a survival skill, you're learning attributes that within 2 or 3 moves, you've negated or neutralized your opponent. It's not 7, 8, 10. It's not 64 movements. It's
E-
2 or 3 out of the 64.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that's why it's very important. Okay, it's not only the learning the art. Okay, learning and understand the attribute, how to survive, how to apply effectively using this art.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, in order for you to learn effectively the art, you have to understand the principle and you have
Right.
to learn the foundation of the art. Because it's like, okay, if you want to learn and involve yourself in this art, you have to put time on it. Not
Yeah.
like, okay, I want to learn this, but I don't have time. So I can learn this like, I can train like once a month or twice a month or, you know, if I have a free time, you can't do that. If you want to be, if you want to be a proficient, okay, of this particular art or fighting, a fighting system, you have to put effort, time, and
Mm-hmm.
commitment.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
no matter what, I share this with you. Okay, I'll teach this. I'll give you this. I'll give you this kind of platform or format of training.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't work with this, it's useless.
Right.
It's a
And I
waste of
think
time. Yeah,
one of the things that I really, in addition to the art itself, is the fact that in FMA there's sparring, there's stick sparring, and I kind of feel like, so with boxing, I could spend years learning how to shadow box, hit the bag, but unless I really spar, I don't learn practical application of what I'm doing. Um,
Okay.
so,
Oh. Um. Okay. Especially in the system of
mhm,
ours, like in the PTK, our principle is like mm, our main um, our main focus is the how to survive. It's a survival art. It's a
mhm,
combative art, right? So you have to learn where is the vital point of the
right,
human body.
yeah,
You have to learn where's the sensitive part of the body. So you understand that, okay, where is the vital point of the body, then that's how you reinforce your tactics to apply and to use that to strike, to use as a striking reference, that you can use that against to
mhm,
the assault coming
mhm,
from um,
the
I would
assailant,
say
yeah,
the assailant or the attackers.
mhm,
So nowadays it's like, oh, I learn FMA. I have to learn first weaponry. Yes, this is edge weapon. This is a weaponry. This is a weaponry. This is a weapon art. But it doesn't mean you cannot be able to use your empty hand
mhm,
skills without the knife. You can still use it
yeah,
because it's like your empty hands tactics. It's coming from weaponry. So um, in the absence of the knife, you have a ball pen, you have
right.
a flashlight, okay? You
Whatever
have
you can grab.
you have a cell phone. You see
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
Every day you have a phone with you. So whatever that knife can do, you can use this phone as what we call this as an equalizer.
mhm.
It's
Impact weapon,
what we call this a weapons of opportunity.
right, yeah,
So in general, in the art of PTK, Peter Shekali, our principle is offense and counter offense,
mhm,
no
mhm,
defense. So because like we expect, our mindset is like, okay, every person that we're facing with, the attacker that we're facing with, he is an expert as well.
right. Yeah, that's one of the,
Don't, don't expect, okay, don't underestimate the person that you're facing with.
never, yeah,
Don't think like, oh, he's nothing, he doesn't know anything, I'm the only one that I know things, and I'm the only one that I can use my weapon or my equalizer, or I can use my empty hands against this attacker. We don't think about that. We are always
mhm,
like ahead of time that say, okay, every person that we are facing with, he is a trained attacker. And not only that, we always expect multiple attackers.
and a weapon,
So our preparation is always double ahead of time.
yeah,
That way, when you are in the street, at the end of the day, your skills, that is a secondary. Awareness is your primary weapon.
yes, absolutely, yeah,
Awareness.
and
Because
that's
it's like
what,
you have empty hands, you have knife, you have this. I would like think, don't walk on the street like say, oh, nothing happened. I have equalizers with me. I have a weapon with me. So, but watch. You are walking in an urban environment. Do you think all the attackers it starts right in front of you? Of course not. The attackers like attacks behind, to the side, and the other side, or multiple attackers. or the person in front of you will attack is a decoy. Boom,
Right.
it's already there. There's somebody attack behind you. Things like that. So you have to be like, your skills, the skills, it's secondary. The primary skills that give you a survival is your awareness.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
Yes.
So, Tuhon, if anybody listening is interested in any of the upcoming seminars, is there a website they can go to register and get further
Yes,
information?
I have flyers, in my Facebook, and also like it's easy. It's very easy to follow, because we have an email, we have a website there, Peter Shakali, World Federation.com, and also I have a Facebook page, multiple like accounts on Peter Shakali and the Numad Kali, things like that. So how we have people all over the world have an access information about the art, and to learn, and to learn via Zoom and live training and such.
Um, anybody who is local, so Nomad Kali Combat Fitness is in the Palisades Mall up in West Nyack. That's Guru Royce's home base. Tuhon is there, and Sensei Frankie DiMaria, who is incredibly capable instructor as well. So if you're interested, go to Nomad Kali Combat Fitness. They're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, and also obviously go to Tuhon's Facebook account and his website. I appreciate your time, Tuhon. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about while you're here, or finish up with, or some closing thought?
Thank you so much,
Oh, my
Mark.
pleasure. It's an honor. Trust me when I tell you, it's an honor.
Your time,
Yeah.
because like you give me an opportunity to, that we have a conversation live, in your podcast. So thank you that you invited me here. So in your podcast, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. And if you have time, maybe in a few weeks or a month or something, we'll do another one, and then maybe we'll maybe even do a little live demonstration with you and
Right,
Royce.
that would be great. That would be great. Well, again, see you here. So
Yes, sir.
today you can, we'll see you here tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, Tuhon.
Thank you so much.
All right. You have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.